Now, on to our festivities. It is our last show of the year, and what a year it has been. So tonight, Josh and I will unveil our lists of 2014's winningest winners and sorriest losers. First up, we got the winners. I'm going to give three. Josh is going to give three in the winning category. My first winner is Mitch McConnell. There he is, the incoming Senate Majority Leader. 30 years ago, the man's Senate career began. He's finally reached the pinnacle of the Senate with the big Republican sweep in November. Even more impressive to me, Josh, about why this is such a big year for Mitch McConnell, this was a race he could easily have lost. His approval ratings were in the tank. He was facing a lot of Democratic money coming into this race. A lot of people thought he was a vulnerable incumbent. Instead, he ran a flawless campaign and won, and now sits atop the United States Senate.
I think so. And unlike most politicians, he didn't want to be president. He wanted to be Senate Majority Leader.
And now he is.
So my first winner this year is the Pope. The Pope. Every year, the Pope wins the internet. He did this year, but he also brokered the U.S.-Cuba deal, made a big push on climate change. He actually, this is my favorite, justifies my existence, I think. He declared that the internet is a gift from God. And my favorite of all, first Pope to appear on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine.
Wow, the Pope has been on a roll. He won Times Person of the Year a year ago. Could have, if he was in the contention again this year, said some liberal things about the church starting to respect different forms of family relations too. Another good year for the Pope, no doubt about that. Okay, number two for me, after moving out of politics and moving into business, here comes Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba. I met this guy 10 years ago in China. I thought he seemed goofy and delusional. Now he is running Alibaba. He's built it into China's most potent internet company, $8.5 billion a year in revenues, $4 billion a year in profit, used by a third of the Chinese people. Amazing. It's a combination of eBay, Amazon, and PayPal all rolled into one. And in September, he had the biggest IPO in the history of stock markets anywhere in the world, a $25 billion IPO. That, I think, qualifies him as a winner.
Not too shabby. You think he'll trade bank accounts with me? Probably not.
No, that's not likely.
Moving on, Elizabeth Warren, my next winner. With Obama's presidency in its twilight, with Hillary AWOL for now, Warren emerged this year, I think, as the one Democrat besides Obama with the power to set her party's agenda. And she has single-handedly, I think, made the issue of fealty to Wall Street something that no Democrat can afford to ignore.
Obviously a good year for you. You don't think she's going to run for president, though, do you?
I don't think she's going to run for president, but smart enough to flirt with it and send the press hopping around like howling monkeys, giving her all the attention she wants to get her message out. I think she's a big winner this year.
I don't like the idea of you calling me a howling monkey, but that's okay. Okay, my third winner is from the realm of culture. I've done politics, I've done business, now we're moving into culture. There she is, Taylor Swift, on the cover of Bloomberg Business Week, declaring that Taylor Swift is the music industry. In 2014, that was certainly true. No exaggeration. Her new album, 1989, she did her first real pop record, sold 1.3 million copies in its first week. It was the #1 album. At that point, she had 5 songs in the top 100, 2 other albums in the top 200, the biggest first week sales in a very, very, very long time. She cut her hair, got a new apartment in New York, and she invited a lot of fans over to listen to the album. She's just fantastic.
For me, the Imperial President Obama, not to be confused with the radioactive weakling the Democrats wanted no part of for the first 10 months of the year.
Radioactive weakling. Wow.
But
harsh.
The emboldened Obama that emerged after the midterm elections, stiff-armed Congress, got the Cuba deal done, the climate pact with China, and most famously legalized 5 million undocumented immigrants. That is a guy who is doing real well. I call him a winner. And just today, Gallup came out and said that he is no longer underwater for the first time in more than a year.
He is on a roll. Okay, so every hero needs a villain and every winner needs an equal and opposite loser. So we move to the dumpster category. 3 more in the dumpster categories. For me, I'm starting with politics again. Jonathan Gruber, the world's most infamous MIT professor who got in a mess of trouble when the video surfaced of him referring to the, quote, stupidity of the American voter. The right wing has gone crazy, way overblown, but the truth is that Gruber has also, he's moved from obscurity into almost universal derision. Even his old friends on the left now denounce him. David Axelrod famously tweeting, quote, if you looked up stupid in a dictionary, you'd find Gruber's picture. Ouch, loser.
If I'm John Gruber, I take 2015. I spend the entire thing on vacation. Yeah. I am going to go with Kim Jong-un, who began the year by assassinating his uncle because he felt the need to consolidate power, not, unfortunately, by feeding him to hungry dogs, which was the internet rumor for a while.
Really? He didn't do that?
as far as we know.
Okay.
Finish off the year by having the U.S., or probably the U.S., shut down the internet, humiliate him. When James Franco and Seth Rogen get the best of you, you know you have had a bad year and you're a loser.
Well, I got to say, I mean, I don't disagree with you that Kim Jong-un is a loser, let's be clear. But I do think Sony, on the other side of that same story, is a second big loser in this category, the loser category. The Interview, for them, they totally mishandled that movie from start to finish, almost to the finish at least. Bad cybersecurity that allowed the hack, a bunch of executives who got embarrassed, a bunch of liberal executives who were sending kind of borderline racist references to President Obama. Then President Obama came out and actually slapped them around in a press conference. They finally did the right thing. They've made up a little bit of ground, but I got to say, $18 million over the weekend on the online distribution of that movie. The movie had a $44 million budget. They could lose as much as $100 million total. Losers.
Brutal. They're losers. The one redeeming thing, their stock price is way up this year, so go figure. My next loser, Ted Cruz, the Tea Party's smart friend. Began the year in the doghouse because of blowback from the government shutdown that made Republicans so angry. Ended the year back in that doghouse for grandstanding during the spending bill fight, making all the senators fly back to town. If politicians think you talk too much and they think Ted Cruz talks too much, you probably talk too much.
Yeah,
I
think he talks too much. Bad year for Ted Cruz. My third one is going to be real quick from the realm of culture. Bill Cosby. I'm not even sure you can really say, you don't need to say anything about this. Bill Cosby, once beloved, now reviled. More than 24 women who've accused him of sexual assault going back to 1969. That is a bad year to go from Cliff Huxtable to an alleged serial sex predator.
He could own this list all by himself. And my last one, Roger Goodell. When you get red-blooded Americans to sit up and ask themselves, do I even want to watch pro football anymore? You have screwed up royally, and he did that with the Ray Rice scandal and all sorts of other things that he didn't manage to do.
The only consolation for Roger Goodell, still has his job.